So, Anna, obviously, all the hotness on the PTR, but there are so many other changes, and we're going to go over them right now. The biggest one, besides specific balance changes, is probably the one hero per team in competitive play.
Yeah.
Now, this is something we talked about on the show before.
We were told initially that was not going to happen.
That is not the case on live right now. On live, you can queue up as 6 Winstons, 6 Lucias, what have you.
Right.
And Kevin, since you are our esports guy, you've been monitoring what people are queuing up as in that format. So tell us how this is going to affect competitive play.
Yeah, so let me kind of break down how like team comps are in the pro scene right now. Okay. So you generally have 1 or 2 different kinds of tournaments right now. You have tournaments that have a 1 hero limit cap, like is being implemented here in this competitive mode, and then you have tournaments that don't. So the big tournament right now that doesn't is the new ESL $100,000 tournament that's going to be happening at Gamescom. And throughout a lot of the qualifiers, every time you get to a King of the Hill control map, that would be Nepal, Ilios, Lijiang Tower, it's 2 Winston, 2 Lucio, 2 Tracer on each side every single game. And it was every single time. But occasionally you would throw in a Zarya or something like that, but that was it. Because of the nature of the maps, relatively short walk distances, but the fact that fights could be sustained, you always needed to prioritize characters that could get there very quickly. Now, anytime that we've had those maps in a 1 hero limit tournament setting, it's been a lot more interesting. You don't even see Winston some of the time because people need to craft a different composition. And while I've been going back and forth on this for quite a long period of time, whether I like hero limits, whether I don't, having consumed now hundreds of hours of pro play, I really am in favor of a 1 hero limit. I do think it does the best job at breaking up and introducing new heroes, diversifying the comps, and making sure that you really have to think situationally about what characters you're switching to. So I am in large support of this. I think it's going to be great for the pro scene. It's also going to unify tournaments and the competitive scene in-game, which is critical for a game that wants to be a big esport.
Yeah, you said something to me earlier talking about the disparity between if there is a private, kind of ESL, kind of just the pro scene is doing something totally different than what is supported first party by Blizzard. Then it's going to be bad news, basically.
Absolutely. So to kind of expand on what you're talking about, Valve, for example, actually does very well at making the tournament experience that pros actually play and what you watch when you're watching big esports events mirror exactly what you get when you're playing competitive ladder in CSGO or Dota. There is almost no difference between those experiences, so it's really easy for people to kind of go back and forth between those various kinds of content. And typically games that have done a better job of doing that, preserving the competitive experience in-game, have done better long-term, had more stable scenes, so I think this is a good move in every respect.
Great, yeah, and it was so crazy, and I mentioned this before, when Jeff Kaplan did his little video talking about, hey, here's what's coming in terms of competitive mode before Season 1 came out. The first thing he mentioned was, like, you can go in casual mode, you can have 2 Lucios and 3 Winstons, do whatever you want, and then he talked about, no, he did not mention hero limits, so it's great to see that they have noticed, they were thinking about it, and probably the reason that they were so silent is because they were considering making a huge decision, and they didn't want to, basically bring it out of the oven before it was done.
For sure.
I'm totally for it. I think it forces teams to play smarter, and I think it makes for more interesting spectatorship. So I'm 100% all in on it. I think it's a great call.
And it's a weird thing for me too, because I think even on this show, my opinion's changed 400 times in the 2 episodes I've done on this. Truly. Because I didn't know out of the gate. I had intuition, I had what I thought would actually play out pretty well, but having physically sat down and now consumed, I'm level 138 in the game now or something like that. On top of that, I watch pro play constantly. This is literally the only game I'm watching and playing right now. This is just the way I play games. And I truly do believe that the 1 hero limit is the best representation of the game that I've seen so far.
Sure. Kyle and I were playing a game against a bunch of Winstons and a single Lucio.
Yeah.
And we ended up winning it, and it was some of my favorite interaction in terms of calling, okay, we need a Bastion, we need 2 Reapers right now.
Yep.
That was really fun. But that is still in the game, even without this. You still can counterpick, and I think we talked about how it's going to affect esports in the absolute upper echelon of play, but for the majority of competitive players, I think this is also a good change, because I think despite us winning that game and us feeling really good about it, it was not that fun.
Well, that's why we felt really good, because we're like, these guys are playing like jerks, that's why it felt good, because it was like sticking it to the guys who were trying to cheese their way to victory.
Right.
Oh, and I totally do that frequently. 5 Winston, 1 Lucio is a great strat for sudden death overtime.
Yeah. If it's allowed, man, better take advantage of it than not. But I'm excited to see a dominant decision on Blizzard's part, and what I'm really excited about as a longtime Blizzard fan is Blizzard very much listening to the community with this game, 110%.
Agreed.
I think some of their titles in the past have been a little bit wishy-washy in terms of like, well, here's what we think is best. We know it's not what you think is best, but we're us, and that's what we think is
Yeah,
best.
the Blizzard way. I'm still waiting for Druids to get nerfed in WoW.
Cyclone, man.
Oh God,
I'm back to playing World of Warcraft. Somebody help me, please.